It's no wonder that 4C hair girls feel like we have to slap on wigs, that we have to have braids, we have to have protective styles, we have to have hairstyles that stretch our hair, because looking at the commentary about Coco's hair is just a really cruel reminder that Black folks are still so indoctrinated into whiteness, white culture, white supremacy, and how anything closer to or with a proximity to whiteness we prop up, even in the Black community. Because when you look at the people that are commenting about her hair, it's not the white folks, it's us. And I think that just shows how much how far we have to go. Y'all, we gotta talk about Coco Gauff. A close friend of mine sent me the Twitter conversation that was taking place on Sunday, I believe, regarding Coco's Miu Miu ad. I'm gonna insert some pictures here. This is from Coco's Instagram. And I guess people were talking about her hair, child. I initially, when my friend sent it to me, I took screenshots of some of the comments that were taking place on Twitter, but I'm gonna go back and read the comments on Coco's Instagram page and see, because one of the comments I saw on Twitter, which I'm gonna insert here, is where someone said she looked like she had civil rights hair, whatever that means. I heard that somebody else said online that she looked like, or her hair looked like Ruby Bridges or something. And I just wanna talk about this whole conversation. Now, if you are an OG subscriber of mine, you may remember, I'm gonna insert it right here, the video I did in 2012, 14 years ago. I still remember this video when we were having the conversation about Gabby Douglas, and people were saying the same thing about her hair, how it looked unkempt and how it looked unprofessional. And just a couple years ago, when Simone Biles got married and her wedding photos went viral, people were talking about her edges. And as a 4C hair girly, y'all know hair is something that I'm passionate about. I write about hair. I advocate for more conversations about hair. I talk about hair bias and hair discrimination in the workplace. And I'm a 4C hair girly, so this is just a necessary conversation for me. It's no wonder that Black women don't wear our hair out. 4C, let me say 4C hair girlies. It's no wonder that 4C hair girls feel like we have to slap on wigs, that we have to have braids, we have to have protective styles, we have to have hairstyles that stretch our hair, because looking at the commentary about Coco's hair is just a really cruel reminder that Black folks are still so indoctrinated into whiteness, white culture, white supremacy, and how anything closer to or with a proximity to whiteness we prop up, even in the Black community. Because when you look at the people that are commenting about her hair, it's not the white folks, it's us. And I think that just shows how much how far we have to go, how deep the internalized oppression runs within us, and how much work we have to do. And I'm glad that folks have been calling out the responses to Coco's hair. I'm glad folks have been calling it anti-Black. I'm glad I've been seeing think pieces and commentary about this, because it's, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when I grew up as a 4C hair girly, I never felt like there was representation. I remember Solange Knowles it looks like she has type 4 hair, because she has an afro. I'm not sure what her hair type is, but Solange came later on, right? When I was maybe already like in high school or college. But she wasn't somebody that I could look to as a young girl and say, I feel represented. And now I'm so glad that the young Black girls have representation, because 4C hair girls growing up and reading this commentary, right? What's so infuriating is that the people who aren't whole within themselves, a 16-year-old who's reading comments who says, I have hair that looks just like Coco Gauff's, I guess my hair isn't acceptable. How our comments on social media, even though they seem very benign, contribute to a system of harm, contribute to a system of anti-Blackness, and contribute to these systems that make young Black girls feel like they are not okay as is, and they have to change themselves. And try to achieve a proximity to whiteness to be accepted and to be loved. And I've written numerous articles about it. I'm gonna drop them in the comments below. I've talked about texturism, right? Because I think people understand a lot of the commentary when we talk about hair discrimination. It feels like the type 3 people dominate the conversation. I see a lot of people who have type 3 or type 2 hair talking about how they were discriminated against because they had curly hair. And that is an important part of the conversation, and that absolutely is hair bias and hair discrimination. But less conversations focus on specifically texturism and how folks who have hair like me, which is the kinkiest and tightest coiled hair, experience the harshest forms of marginalization within the hair hierarchy. In this article I wrote about texturism, I talked about the origins of the hair typing system and how it has roots in the white supremacist practice that was done in Namibia. In Namibia, there was a genocide that took place. There were a lot of indigenous Namibian people that were slaughtered, and the colonists that came in actually imposed a hair typing system where they tried to ascertain a person's proximity to whiteness based on their hair texture. And that iteration, or that hair typing system, was morphed into the hair typing system that Andre, I don't know his last name, Andre something. He was Oprah's hairstylist, but he came up with the hair typing system that we use today. And there's a whole argument for why that system should be abolished completely. But I do think that we need to have more conversations about texturism. Texturism shows up in the workplace. The most, I guess, the most egregious example of how texturism shows up in the workplace is a person's likelihood to be hired, right? We know that wearing your hair in its natural textures may limit your ability to get a job, or may impact your ability to get a job. So it's understandable why people, especially 4C hair people, decide not to wear their hair in its natural state, because look at how Black people react to Coco Gauff's hair. Look at how white people react to our hair and try to touch it and this and that. And so we have issues where, and that's why the Crown Act was implemented, because race-based hair discrimination is still a thing. And if we're less likely to get hired, we may experience discrimination. We need protections against that. So hair discrimination can impact our likelihood to be hired. It can also impact your treatment in the workplace. I remember I was facilitating a panel discussion, and we were taking questions from the audience, and someone in the audience, a Black woman, basically said she had this experience where she was on a team, she had this Indian manager, and they were about to meet with the new client, and the Indian manager specifically said to her, make sure you look presentable for the meeting. Make sure your hair is done. And like the insinuation is like, you normally come to work without your hair done. And this was like 2021, 2022. This was like the earlier days of COVID. So that comment is such a backhanded comment, but it represents a lot of what people with kinkier hair textures experience when it comes to hair bias and hair discrimination. And I think that it can show up again in how you're treated by colleagues and coworkers. And if you don't come to, let's say she came to the meeting as is, and her manager somehow saw that as insubordination and said, well, you don't deserve a promotion because I asked you to come to the meeting looking presentable and you didn't do anything with your hair. So it could actually impact your ability to ascend and to advance and to get promoted in the workplace. So hair discrimination is a very real thing. And again, I do a lot of work around how hair discrimination specifically impacts Black women. I am leaving a bunch of resources in the, in the show notes. You see my mind is on a podcast in the description box, but like anti-Blackness and hair discrimination impacts all Black people and impacts people even who are not Black but have kinkier hair textures, because that indicates you have some sort of proximity to Blackness, right? And so you can still feel the brunt of, or feel the impacts of anti-Blackness through your phenotype, through your hair texture, through other aspects of your physical appearance. So I think this whole conversation, of course, is disappointing, but I'm glad folks have been calling the naysayers out, right, for their disgusting and anti-Black comments. But I think we need more conversations and more think pieces. We need more people like Lip Gloss, who got shamed off of social media. She got off social media. She was the TikToker who was documenting her natural hair journey. And I think she made a comment about how white men approach her more when she has her natural hair or something. And they dragged her, and I think she got off because I started following her during all that drama a couple years ago. And then back when I was on TikTok, I'm not on it anymore, but she got off TikTok for a little bit and then got back on TikTok. I follow her on Instagram. I don't think she posts as much, but we need more lip glosses. We need more people who are unapologetic with how they wear their hair, with showcasing 4C hair, with showcasing 4C hair in its shrunken state. There is this beautiful woman that I watch YouTube shorts a lot, and there is this beautiful woman that pops up on my YouTube shorts. I believe she's from South Sudan. Beautiful. Her skin is like butter that I want to like swim in. Her skin is beautiful. Her hair is beautiful. And she is somebody, we need to see more people like that who showcase 4C hair in all of its natural, beautiful glory. But we need more people who are showcasing 4C hair in all of its stages. Not just 4C hair that's stretched, not just 4C hair, and I talked about this in my previous video when I showcased my big chop. But I always wore my hair, I've always had pretty long hair, and I always wear, if I'm wearing my 4C hair, I always have a silk press. I never just wash it and wear it out. I never, this is literally not even, I washed my hair a few days ago, and I literally took water, put it in my hair, went like this, and I did lay my edges. And I have a video on whether laying your edges is anti-Black or not. The reason I lay my edges is because my edges, because of the hairstyles I've rocked, my edges are like thin. And so I feel like laying the edges makes them look less thin because I am insecure about the thinness. So I will say that is one thing I do with my hair. But other than that, I just leave it as is. And so I think we need more people who are showcasing 4C hair in all of its natural glory, all of its iterations. We need more conversations about this. We need more protections because the Crown Act is not in every single state. There's, I think, 20-something states that have race-based hair discrimination protections. So if you are in a workplace or in a school and you get discriminated against because of your hair, there is protections for you if you're in a state that has adopted the Crown Act. If not, excuse me, I know a lot of southern states have not, but there's a lot of, California was the first, then New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. A lot of the more blue liberal states have adopted the Crown Act. But if you're in a state where the Crown Act isn't law, try to push for or advocate for that legislation. And I think we need to be doing more things to pour into Black youth when it comes to our appearance and our hair. I would love, and I'm putting this out there and telling my YouTube fan first, I would love to, y'all know I'm a 4-time author, but I would love to write a kid's book. And write a kid's book, I've been tussling with this in my mind, but I would love to write a book on hair. And there's so many. There right now, if you're a baby in 2026, there's so many books on hair, right? There's Hair Love, and I think that won an Emmy or something because it was turned into a documentary. But there's a lot of books on hair and loving your hair. And I don't know, I need to do a little bit of some research. I don't know how many are specifically on like the kinkier hair textures because it's more like love your hair. But it's like, I can be Black and love my hair because my hair is softer and looser. Whereas if I'm a Black person whose hair grows out and not down, it might be harder for me to love my hair when I don't see any representation and I don't see anyone that really looks like me and I get made fun of at school and all of this. So I would love to write a kid's book, but I think part of what we need to do is continue to pour into our youth and make sure that they know that they are loved and that they're beautiful. So we need to definitely be pouring into our youth, talking more about this, writing think pieces, making YouTube videos, advocating for the Crown Act in different states, and making sure that we are showcasing 4C hair and kinkier hair textures in all of its beautiful natural glory. So those are my thoughts on the Coco Gauff situation. It's annoying. It pisses me off. It's not surprising because so many of us are so indoctrinated into respectability and into white culture, and we think that if we straighten our hair and if we wear our hair in a certain way, it will somehow save us from racism and it will prevent us from experiencing systemic harm. But I encourage us to keep talking about topics like this. So I've left a bunch of resources if you want to learn more about hair bias and hair discrimination in the description box. But thank y'all so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video.